Hi, I'm Morgan St. James, and a lot of times I laughingly call myself an accidental author. Well, you might be wondering why I say that, and it's because I didn't set out to be an author. I was an interior designer, and my partner and I were approached by a very prestigious West Coast magazine, and they asked us if we'd like to do an article for them. And of course we said yes, because it was a brilliant opportunity, publicity, credibility. And so we didn't even hesitate. The fact that we had no idea how to write an article didn't stop us until the night before the article was due and we had nothing. And then we sat around commiserating about what fools we were going to seem like to this magazine. Well, we were people who didn't give up. So even though we only had a couple of hours left, we had a couple of glasses of wine and figured out what we could do to save face. And what we did was to create a funny noir-type article about two designers combing the waterfront for wood to use on a floor. And I mean, we even started it out like we were sitting in our studio drinking tea when the phone rang. And anyway, we submitted it to the magazine. They loved it, and they asked us to write more articles, and in fact they featured it on the front page. Well, my partner didn't want to write more articles, but I did because I found I really enjoyed writing. So I went on to write many how-to articles. I also transitioned out of design and I wrote about other subjects like dementia, I wrote about bartering, I wrote about all kinds of things, and that continued through the 80s and 90s while I was still doing design work. In the mid-90s, my sister and I got together in Los Angeles. We hadn't been close because she moved to Alaska when she was 20 years old. And as we bonded with each other, we found out not only were we both published writers, but we both love funny mysteries. So I'm sure you can guess what came next. We decided to create our own mystery series, Silver Sisters Mysteries. And we worked on our manuscript for a couple of years, and we finally had this brilliant piece of work that we started submitting to agents. We were sure they were going to jump and be bidding for it, and instead we started getting rejection notices. Fortunately, many of the agents sent us personal notes, and I would really like to thank them for that because I understand that's unusual. And what they did was they said they loved our premise. They could tell we were seasoned writers. They could also tell we hadn't written fiction. They suggested we learn about point of view, about information dumps, all the things that worked in the kind of writing we did that didn't work in fiction. So we did. We studied with a manuscript evaluator. We took classes. We took workshops. We rewrote the entire manuscript, and lo and behold, it was accepted. Silver Sisters were born. A Corpse in the Soup was named Best Mystery Audiobook of 2007 by USA Book News. It was followed by Seven Deadly Samovars. And in late 2011, the third Silver Sisters book, Vanishing Act in Vegas, will be released. Besides that, I also got to follow one of my other dreams. I had been writing a romantic suspense story that had been in my head for years, and I started that back in the early 90s when I knew absolutely nothing about writing fiction, and particularly something that was as deep and passionate as this story. Well, all the studying and all the writing paid off because in 2010, the first book in the new Twist of Fate series, Devil's Dance, was released under my pen name, Arliss Adams, and it was quickly followed by The Devil's Due. Third book is in the works. And not only that, but I've had lots of published short stories and anthologies, 2 stories published in Chicken Soup for the Soul books. I write 2 columns for Examiner.com in both the Los Angeles and the Las Vegas editions. I give writers workshops about all the things I didn't know how to do when we first submitted our manuscripts. And I am a frequent panel member. I belong to 6 writers groups. I helped found a chapter of Sisters in Crime. And all in all, I've paid my dues, and guess what? I've become a writer. And I want to help other writers. My column in the Examiner is called Writer's Tricks of the Trade. And quite soon I'm going to release some YouTube videos with a couple of the topics that I've covered in my column.